afternoon, Southern California, AM 1220 and FM 98.1 KHTS. Your financial hour with Fred Arnold and my good friend David Cantrell. Welcome, David.
Hello. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
We had to start a little bit late because Dave answered a phone call right when the music came on.
Yeah, well, it was one of our employees, and it could have been important. It wasn't, but it could have been.
It's always important when they have a question. So let's just jump right into it, Dave. Right now, why is it a good time to buy a house? Why is affordability there? Well, I want to talk about housing because I think right now, more than ever, is one of the greatest opportunities we're going to see in a lifetime for young Americans to buy a house.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, right now one of the things that we always talk about when buying a house, and for me, maybe I'm a little prejudiced because I'm a mortgage lender, but it's always about the interest rate. Yeah. I mean, the interest rate, because that's what you're going to be paying over the life of the loan, and that's really what has the effect. And with interest rates where they are now at historical lows, and I know you hear it on the radio and you hear it everywhere, people saying these are the lowest that we've ever seen. They are the lowest we've ever seen. I mean, it is unbelievable where the rates are right now.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that because when my parents, Patty won't know this, right? Because Patty's a young kid.
He's a young kid.
He's on the control board. He likes playing his video games. He's all this new generation, He's never seen interest rates at 19, 20%.
No, he is not.
And I remember when I was a kid, I ran a hostage situation, gas prices, oil crisis, rates were 15 to 21%.
Yeah.
And you hear these stories, but these younger, I say kids, right. I guess I can say that when you're post 50, don't know that. And so when you get interest rates below 4%, wow. Yeah. And it increased affordability, chance of a lifetime, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And one of the things that makes now such a good time to buy, and even with this was even going on even before the COVID-19, prices are very interesting right now because they're not really going up dramatically. And again, they weren't even going up before this. And so it's one of those, you always hear, oh, it's a buyer's market or, oh, it's a seller's market.
Yep.
This market is one of the first times that I've seen in quite, where it's kind of like, it's a transaction market. Yeah. Sellers are happy because their homes have appreciated over the last 10, 15 years, so they're going to make a nice little profit when they sell the house. Buyers are happy because prices haven't continued to skyrocket, and with interest rates being low, you're right, it changes the affordability so dramatically that it's really a great time to buy a home.
Yep. And not only the affordability because the interest rate's lower, you're not getting outbid. Right. By the cash buyers, from what I understand, are not there. Unless it's the mom or dad or rich uncle lending the money and then they're really getting a loan afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, it's really not, we're not seeing that, right? No, we're not seeing the institutional, I've got, $80 million to buy homes and we're going to rent them out.
Right.
And so we're not seeing that. We are going to see a disruption, and I say disruption, in the renter's market. Now, 80% of all Americans are making their payment, either partial payment or full payment. Yeah. But you think about that. That means 20%
are not.
Right. Which means there could be some disruption in the rental market, which could soften those a little bit, which is not a bad thing. It's good. It's affordability. But we're going to also see a consolidation of the family. I really think, my kids moved back in from college. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of, thinking, my son after paramedic school is going to be ready to move on.
Right.
Maybe I can write a small check for him to, get a new place,
That's what you would think. Yeah.
But now I'm going, well, wait a second, maybe you got to save, a little bit of money. And so, I think families are going to reunite once again like they did many years ago.
Yeah, and it's interesting because out here in the Santa Clarita area, building has started again, and we have this new development called Skyline, where there's a bunch of new homes going up. And my wife and I, just as a lark, just went and kind of started touring some of them, and I was surprised at how many have that. They're calling it the grandparents, the downstairs, kitchen, a little kitchenette, little bedroom, little living room area that's kind of attached to the house. So you definitely see that starting to happen again as well, bringing mom and dad in with you, because then you can afford a little bit nicer house and a little bit bigger area.
Yeah, and it also increases the value of your home.
Absolutely.
We're going to jump to a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about, Patty, you're going to love this. We're going to talk about credit, and if you're unsure about your credit, what you can do to increase that credit score, because right now when it comes to borrowing money, especially when money gets tight, it's all about the credit score.
Absolutely.
Well, you're watching online, hometownstation.com, or listening AM 1220, FM 98.1, KHTS. AM 1220, FM 98.1, KHTS, joined by my good friend David Cantrell, mortgage professional, expert when it comes to the markets. David, back in your previous life, you were a bond trader, right? Was it bonds or was it
Stocks?
Stocks. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Boy, you've seen this before, haven't you?
A couple times.
Yeah.
A couple of times.
Uncertainty in the market.
Yes.
Yeah, and with that comes tight credit.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Credit definitely starts to tighten up a little bit.
Yeah, so let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
This is my favorite topic. I want to talk about credit scores and credit scoring. And I know you talk about this all the time in your presentations to credit union groups and members. And that is, how do you get your credit score up? Well, what do they evaluate when it comes to credit? So number one is your payment history, right? Paying on time.
Right.
And not all credit's the same, but it's the likelihood that you're going to be late on a particular debt, either 30, 60, or 90 days. Now, question, Dave, if you are 10 days past your due date, are they going to report you late?
No.
Yeah.
No. The 10 days won't make a big difference. You don't want to do that, but if especially in today's world, 10 days will be fine.
Yeah, so they're going to look at 30, 60, and 90 days late.
Correct.
So the one thing people have to understand is if you miss your payment on a credit card, your $85 payment or your $35 payment, and then the next month you make it, and then the next month you make it, you're late every month.
Correct.
Because you never caught up.
Correct.
Because you never made that first one. So the next month you make a payment, okay, that was late, and then it's called it continues to be a rolling late.
Correct.
And before you know it, after 12 months, if you didn't make up that first payment, it's not like you have one payment missed. You have 12.
I actually had a customer about 2 or 3 years ago, lovely young lady, and I pulled her credit and I told her, you have 12 30-day mortgage lates. And she's like, what are you talking about? I make my payment every month. I'm like, and just like you said, did you miss one? She's like, well, yeah, I missed it, but then I paid it the next month. And you're right, it rolled over every single month. And so we had to do a little conversation on that one.
Yeah, exactly. So bottom line is pay on time. You have up to 30 days. Definitely don't want to be 60 or 90 days late. Now, if you get a forbearance, it's not supposed to be negative, like if you get a forbearance.
Right.
But they are coding your loan as a forbearance.
Yes, they are.
And forbearance in the credit world is terrible, 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 terrible. So even though they're not plummeting your credit score, they're marking it, creditors are seeing it.
Yes.
And it's going to affect you getting a loan. So make sure you know that. So anyhow, payment history is very important. Now, check this out. If you have a medical collection, don't ignore that bill from AMR, the ambulance ride you got.
Right.
Because you might have a $100 deductible, and if you don't pay it, it goes from AMR to a collection agency. Now you have two people going after you, and it looks like you have two different debts.
Exactly. Yeah, from just one debt.
Medical are big. So necessarily you don't have to pay them to qualify for a loan, but it'll plummet your credit score.
Right.
So you want to look at derogatories. And then, the bottom line is the more time you get between your late payments and today, your credit score is going to get better.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yep.
sometimes you get a couple of lates removed as a courtesy for being a long-time client and having the confusion. So second thing is the balances. So explain to me, you have a $10,000 limit. What is wrong with combining all your credit cards, because it's 0% interest rate, on that $10,000 card?
Well, what happens when the creditors look at that, they look at your debt, and when you have a $10,000 available credit, anything that you have that's over $5,000 balance, meaning anything over 50% of your credit being used, that's actually works against you, right? Because now they're saying, okay, this person has this much available credit. They're not really managing it very well because it keeps going up, 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 and up. So to answer your question, yeah, when you consolidate all that debt into one credit card, all of a sudden that thing's gone to 80%, 90% of the available credit, and it does ding your credit score.
Yeah, I have a confession. I pulled my credit recently because I was going to pay off a debt from last year. I took my daughter to France.
Right.
And it was expensive. So the 0% interest rate credit card, I'll just pay it when I get my tax refund because I pay a lot every month, right? And so I pulled my my mortgage credit report to do a refinance on my house because rates are still so low, and I owed like $16,000 on a $25,000 card.
Right.
Well, that's like 55%.
Yeah, that's.
And my credit score, went from like 760, 770 to like 730,
Yeah.
and that put me in the next lower
Right,
rung of credit
right.
scoring.
Yeah.
That was an eye opener.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really important that that you keep that number at 50% or
Right.
lower.
Yeah, you absolutely
Yeah.
should. Absolutely.
So length, history.
Yeah. So I mean, somebody, like, well, we'll use me because I don't want you to say that you're old, but I've had credit for a long, long time.
A long time.
Long time is enough. Thank you. So I'm going to be looked at more favorably than an 18-year-old that's getting out of high school that's getting that first Visa card with $500 credit because they just haven't had credit. So we can't judge how well they're going to use that credit.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how. So the longer you have credit and the longer you can show that you're able to use it correctly, you'll have a better score.
Exactly. And so one thing, if you add your kid as a full user on your credit card,
Right.
it's going to help them because it's
Yeah.
going to look like they had credit since before they were born.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a card that you've had for a long time.
Exactly.
So that's a good thing. Length of credit. So if you close all your credit cards that are old, all of a sudden you just have new credit cards. It makes it look like you don't have experienced credit.
Yeah, we always tell our customers that pay the credit cards off. You want to pay the credit cards off, pay them off, but don't close the account. Just put the card away and don't use it anymore. That way you continually have that credit showing for that long period of time.
And no balance.
And no balance,
Yeah.
correct.
So last two to improve your credit score. One is the type of credit you get.
Right. Yeah.
If you go and get that beautiful TV, they're only $600 anymore.
Right. Exactly.
But if you go get that TV from Best Buy or I don't want to exclude them, but
Right.
from a department store or somewhere like that, they use finance agencies versus banks typically for their financing.
Right. And then also you do have the difference between what's called an installment, which is kind of like your car payment. It's the same every month, or revolving. That's like a credit card where the balances can go up and down.
Yeah.
Right. So those are looked at differently.
Yeah. So if you can, use your credit card from your credit union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to finance it versus a consumer finance company.
Right.
And last but not least, inquiries. What is an inquiry and why does it matter?
So inquiries are if somebody checks your credit, right? And when somebody checks your credit, it shows up there and it shows that it shows up on your credit report. And everybody gets where they say, "Oh, it dings my credit." It does ding your credit a little bit, but the idea is that if you're shopping for a car and the credit bureau sees that you looked at that Ford pulled your credit and Chrysler pulled your credit and Subaru pulled your credit, the credit bureaus are going to say, okay, this person's shopping for a car, so they're only going to kind of get hit one time. But the reason why it's important is because if you see a person, going to Lowe's and then going to Ford and then a mortgage place and then Best Buy, this person is looking to credit, and so that might not always be a favorable outlook.
Yeah, because you apply with a lot of different creditors when you can't qualify.
Right.
And so they kind of look at it that way. And
Exactly.
So yeah, you want to make sure that you don't apply for that 10% discount at the department store for another credit card.
Right. Exactly.
Especially
when you're buying a house.
Exactly. Don't apply for anything when you're buying a house.
No.
Anyhow, some tips, Dave. They can reach out to you if they have questions at.
Sure. You can reach me at my phone number is 661-505-4368, and my email is david@affloans.com.
We're going to jump to a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk to a mortgage professional that's licensed here in California and Colorado,
Right.
Fernando Gauna, and talk about down payment programs,
Right.
because right now it's all about the down payment.
Absolutely.
All right, you've been listening to AM 1220, FM 98.1, KHTS, and watching online, hometownstation.com. Good afternoon, Southern California, AM 1220, KFM 98.1, KHTS, and hometownstation.com. Also, Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, did you notice that Patty has a box of pizza next to him?
Surprisingly, I did notice that.
I noticed that, and he opened it up, kind of smelled it, and didn't even, didn't flinch.
Nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like didn't even look up at us to kind of go, hey.
Hey,
Yeah,
pizza?
it's
No.
mid-afternoon, I'm a little hungry.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I was just making sure it was in one piece, and then I'm gonna enjoy it when I go home.
Well, we're joined by mortgage professional Fernando Gauna. Fernando Gauna is licensed here, both in California grew up in San Fernando Valley,
Yep.
and lives in Burbank, and also in Colorado, Denver,
Right.
Colorado, and markets a lot out there, and helps people get into homes. And we're going to talk, Dave, today about the myth of 20% down, and you have to have a big down payment.
Right. Yeah. Fernando is actually he works for us. He's one of our best loan officers, and he deals with a vast array of clients. But something that he's really great at and knows, more than anybody, there is that myth out there that you have to have 20% down, and that's just actually couldn't be further from the truth. So Fernando, why don't you kind of just give us a quick overview first of what's out there, and then maybe we'll dive in a little deeper.
Sure. Well, first of all, it's good to hear your voice, Dave, and Fred. Thanks for having me on the show. It's a real treat to be on the show with you guys. I hope you guys are staying safe and staying healthy.
Absolutely.
So that there used to be that golden rule, right? That for many years you had to put down 20% to get a house. That's really just not true anymore. So I think one of the biggest obstacles for people today is not knowing that you don't necessarily have to put down that 20%. And, obviously putting down 20% is a big obstacle for first-time home buyers. So just a little bit about some of the programs that are out there. You can do a government-backed program like an FHA loan or a VA loan. With FHA, you only have to put down 3.5%. VA, you don't have to put down anything, so 0% down. And even with a conventional loan, you could put down as little as 3%. So, that myth about having to put down that 20% really prohibits people from moving forward in realizing their dreams of being a first-time home buyer.
So Fernando, Fred here, I know you're a master when it comes to helping so many people, both in California and in Colorado, buy a home. Do you have any stories of the last, because you've been closing a lot of purchases in the Denver area, in addition to California. Any stories on the down payment and how you're able to get people in, really with such minimal down?
Sure. So there's also, Fred, there's also a lot of down payment assistance programs, and I do a lot of down payment assistance programs, especially in Colorado. And I think, again, it's just a matter of just making sure that folks understand that you don't have to put down so much money, and that you do have the option of going with maybe a little bit more or less of a down payment, and also being able to do the down payment assistance programs. The programs that I generally focus on, there's a couple of options that I work with folks with. The first one is there's a grant program that you can do where you can get up to about 3% of the total loan balance. That grant program allows you to get that money, and you don't have to repay that money back. You do have to get a little bit higher interest rate because you're getting that grant and you're not having to pay that back. But it's pretty much free money for you in terms of not having to pay that back in the long term. The other option that we look at is what they call a silent second. That option will allow you to get up to 4% of the total loan amount. That program, you have to pay that back in the future if you were to refi or sell the property, but they give you a little bit more money, and the interest rate overall is a little bit lower. Both programs don't carry any kind of monthly payment, and again, it just gives that borrower, that first-time home buyer, the ability to be able to purchase.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting to me. I always think it's that when I'm talking to people, and it has a feeling like the world doesn't want them to buy a house, and it's just because they haven't talked to people that there are so many programs to help people buy a house. The world wants people to have home ownership, and they're really willing to do a lot to get that done. So now, if you're putting 3.5% down with an FHA, there is mortgage insurance, right? But is that terrible?
So there is mortgage insurance when you're talking about doing an FHA, but the mortgage insurance on the FHA is minimal. So they'll look at you're going to be based on obviously your credit score and your overall qualification. But in terms of looking at the monthly mortgage insurance, it's pretty favorable.
And you can get rid of it too at some point, correct?
Well, on an FHA, unless you put down 10%, the FHA mortgage insurance stays with the life of the loan until you either refi or sell the home. Now, obviously, on a conventional loan, the mortgage insurance would go away once you get 20% equity into the property.
Great program. So, Fernando, we run out of time already. Thank you for calling in. Those that want to reach out to you, both in Denver and in California, how can they get you?
Sure. So my direct number is 818-201-8169, and then my email address is fernando@affloan.com.
Well, thanks. We look forward to getting you back here to California. I know you've been kind of sheltered in there in Denver.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back. My goal is to get back there by the end of the month, and then I just want to say one more thing, if you don't mind. I want to give a special shout out and thanks to the frontline workers, that all these men and women who are doing just a tremendous job in these challenging times. So my heart goes out to everybody that's at the front line, just keeping us all safe.
Love that.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Fernando.
Yeah.
All right, Fernando. We'll see you back here in a couple weeks, okay?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
You guys take care.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Dave, we're going to jump to a quick break.
Yep.
But when we come back, we're going to talk about those getting into buying a house.
Right.
I think it's so critical. You've been listening to AM 1220 KHTS, FM 98.1, and HometownStation.com. Host Fred Arnold with Dave Cantrell on the Financial Hour. We'll talk to you in a minute.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. I got a question.
Yeah.
I want to talk about buying a house. Starter house.
Okay.
How do we get younger? And I say younger. A lot of young people have been locked out of the home buying process. We got Patty sitting across from us, right? At
Right.
the control panel. And Patty, you own a house?
You know what, Fred? I don't own a house, but I do want to own a house at some point really soon.
Yeah. So you're young. I won't ask your age, but for all the ladies out there, oh my God, what a handsome, nice fella. Okay? You can only see the back of his head if you're watching this on Facebook, but what a nice kid. Anyhow, so let's do a scenario real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So starter house here. Probably $500,000.
Whew.
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, let's say it's a house. We got to keep it simple here.
Yeah.
Right.
House, let's say in some areas, without it, you can do that here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you buy a house for $500,000.
Yep.
And I'm going to keep it even more simple. I'm going to say you're going to put $100,000 down, and then let's say it's a gift. But then again, I'll back it up and I'll say if you put less money down, I can show you how. Okay. So let's just do that real quick. So you're buying a house for $500,000.
Okay. Yeah.
You're going to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Yeah.
Okay? So the reason why is you're going to have a roommate. So let's just say for now, Patty, you're doing all right. You're making $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
Okay? Good job. Been at your job for 3, 4, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you're making $4,000 a month. And let's say your good buddy or significant other,
Right.
let's say they're making $3,000 a month. Okay?
Seems about right.
No, I'm going to use, let's say they're making 4.
Okay.
Because I got to keep the number simple in my head.
Right.
So they're making about $4,000 a month. So a total of $8,000 a month for 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Patty, you're paying, let's say, $1,500 a month in rent, and
Yeah.
that's on the low side, right?
That's on the low side. Just
And
saying.
your buddy, your high school buddy, right?
Yeah.
Girlfriend, whatever it is, right? Your friend, your partner in this investment. Let's say they're sleeping on the couch at mom and dad's, but they could probably easily afford $1,200 a month, right?
Right.
Because buying a house just seems so huge.
Right.
And let's say you each talk your parents into throwing some money in as the investor. So you have a $400,000 loan on your house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so it's pretty big, right?
That's pretty big, yeah.
$400,000.
Yep.
That's almost $500,000. And we're going to let Patty buy a house for $500,000.
Yes.
All right, so the average payment for principal and interest to pay it back over 30 years
Right.
is about $450 for every $100,000 you borrow.
Wow.
So if you borrow $100,000, it's $450.
Yep.
So help me with the math there. What's 4 times 450?
So it'd be
$1,600, $1,800.
Nice.
That's,
Yep.
yeah. Wow.
So your payment's $1,800 for principal and interest, right?
Yep.
Not too bad if that was
pretty,
it, right?
Pretty close to what you were paying before.
Right.
Taxes. Now, the way I do taxes, if it's a $500,000 house, your taxes are going to be just a little more. Remove all the zeros, a little more than $500 a month.
Gotcha.
Now, Patty, the taxes are for property.
Right.
Okay, they get you coming and going. You don't know that as a young kid, but you know what? They get you coming and going one way or another, and you pay property taxes, so the whole potholes can be fixed and the
Right.
everything. I don't want to get into it, but for the county, okay?
Yes.
So that's going to be $500 a month, and you got to buy insurance, Patty.
Right. Of course.
In case something happens, it's $100 a month. I'm going to keep the number simple. So let's add it up. What's 1,800
1800
plus 100?
plus that's 19
Right. So 19 plus 500.
plus 500. That's 24.
So $2,400. Now think about this, Patty. You're
Yeah.
paying rent
Right.
of $1,500.
Yep.
And your buddy or significant other or friend, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
can afford $1,200. That's $2,700.
Yep.
Your payment's only $2,400.
Wow.
I mean,
Yep.
if you think about that.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's definitely doable.
Yeah, I mean, now let's say you only put, I got to use 5% down.
Okay.
So you only now you got to only borrow from your parents 20,000, 25,000.
Right.
So you're gonna pay, so the numbers go up a little bit, about $300.
Yeah.
So about $300 more. So now you're gonna be around $2,700
27.
for 25,000 down. Now that
Yeah.
might seem like a lot, but there's down payment assistance programs.
Yep.
Right.
There's
Like-
mom and
yep.
dad who want your butt off the couch.
True.
Yep.
There's your 401k you started saving at, you could borrow from.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about this. Now I don't want a partner, Fred. Well, do you want to live at home or do you want to live in an apartment for the rest of your life, right?
That's
Right.
true.
So think about you and your buddy go together, and you both live in one room, but you rent to one of your other buddies for $900 a month.
Right.
So now you're paying $2,700 a month,
Right.
Patty, because remember we decided to only put 5% down.
Right.
You rent for $900. You rent one of the units. Now you both are only paying $1,800 a month.
Wow.
Think
Look at
about that. Your own house. You can have a dog.
Yep.
Yep.
You
You
can
do
have
whatever-
fun.
yeah.
You can stay out as late as you want.
Yep.
You can
Yeah,
have
that's
friends
important.
come over and well, not right now, but soon enough,
At some
right?
point,
Yeah.
you'll be able to have friends come over.
Well, wait a second. What if you all have friends in the same house and each of you invite two other friends over? That's not a group, but then you're all at the same time. Is it considered a club? Oh, anyhow.
Yes.
My whole point, Patty, is
Yeah.
how do you get the American dream? You get the American dream by being resourceful.
Yeah.
Finding your fiance, your significant other, your friend. You go into partnership with your dad, mom,
True.
Yeah.
uncle, right? Or just do it yourself, depending on what your income is. Now let's talk about that. $8,000 a month will allow you to qualify for about $3,500 a month in total bills. So if you have a car payment that's $500, you qualify for about
Right.
$3,000 a month. So you're fine.
Wow. All right.
So my whole point is, it's not out of reach.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to add in, because when you're talking about the income, $4,000 a month. Remember, when we're talking about income, we're talking about your gross income, not your net.
Right.
So that actually makes a pretty big difference when you start looking at your check and you're seeing all that stuff coming out. We're not counting that. So getting to $4,000 a month is really not that hard.
I want to take one more step, Patty. Think about this.
Yeah.
If the house goes up in value by 5% a year,
Mm-hmm.
what's 5% of 500,000? So what's 5 times 5?
5 times 25.
What if your house went up 5% a year, which is 25,000?
Wow.
Your 5% investment, your $25,000 investment will double
Wow.
in 1 year.
Quickly.
And that's if it only goes up 5%.
Yeah, just 5%. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And so what happens when you and your buddy, you're in that apartment or you're in that house and you live together for 4 years, all of a sudden now you both have enough money to maybe put it down on your own house.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so that's kind of the way the American dream of home ownership is not as far away as you think.
No, it's not. And I'm going to throw on one more thing on you, Patty.
All right. What's up?
I think the best ways to find success in life is when it's automatic.
Mhm.
401k contribution every month. When
Yeah.
you make that mortgage payment, as long as you don't get an interest-only loan, I'm not a big fan of them, but they're
Right.
for the right person, they're good. Every time you make that payment, you pay down principal of about $600 a month, and then it's more and more and more.
Yep.
Right.
So after a year, you've paid it down by 8,000.
Yeah.
The value's gone up by 25,000. If it goes up 5%,
Right.
Right.
and what if it goes up 10%?
Oh,
You just
even
made
more.
$50,000.
Wow.
Patty, how long would it take you to save $50,000 if you're making $4,000 a month after your other bills?
Wow.
You know what I'm
Takes a long
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so there's a way to make it happen, and I'm so excited about talking about this, and so Dave, for those, I want to almost say underserved, but that's not right. Maybe
Overlooked.
locked out of the home buying
Yeah.
process because they were starting their jobs and then paying off student loans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, give us a call. We'd be happy to see how we can help you. American Family Funding, 661-284-1150. Patty, what do you think?
I like that notion. You're opening my mind on this, Fred. I'm just like, wow. That's
Yeah.
You know what, it sounds like buying a house is a lot more easier than you think it is.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. You just need to talk to the right person.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to jump to a quick break, but when we come back, Patty, oh my God, Patty, we are going to have Jalen
Yep.
Crawford jump on. She's been doing this business for, well, I won't say how long. Right?
A while.
She'll get mad at me.
Let's just say a while.
A while,
Yeah.
but she's amazingly
Yes, she is.
brilliant when it comes. Remember, Fernando was talking about the down payment programs. Jalen, those down payment programs, especially here in California, like nobody's business. You've been listening to AM 1220 and FM 98.1 KHTS and watching online and Facebook, hometownstation.com. This is your host, Fred Arnold and Dave Cantrell on the Financial Hour. Good afternoon, Southern California, AM 1220 and FM 98.1 KHTS. I love that song.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah,
one of your
isn't that a
favorites.
great song? Patty, you're young.
Yeah.
What song reminds you of being a kid?
You know what song reminds me of being AC/DC? And I know that's like way before my time, but I grew up.
That's my generation. There.
No, I know, but like my dad grew up having me listen to AC/DC, so it's like every time I hear like Back in Black or Thunderstruck, it's like, oh my God, I'm back in like rocking down in my room as a kid.
Love it, love it. Dave?
Yeah, staying on the Elton John theme, Crocodile Rock.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
one that kind of reminds me of being a kid.
Well, we have a great guest, Jalen Crawford. Jalen
Yes.
Crawford is a mortgage professional, knows down payment assistance programs better than anybody's business, right?
Absolutely.
Jalen, welcome to the show. What song reminds you of being a kid?
Oh, golly, China Grove.
Okay.
All right, nice. Now, welcome to the show. So we were talking
Thank you.
we're talking about buying houses and low down payments. You know, out here in the Santa Clarita Valley, a nice house, entry level house. You know, $475 to $510, $515.
Yeah, something like that.
Condo anywhere from $350 to $450.
Yeah,
you know,
sounds about
right in that area. What's going on out there in the Inland Empire? Buying a house.
Oh, we are crazy busy with the number of people that are wanting to shelter in place out of LA. So we are massively busy with purchases. People were originally coming here to buy second homes anyway, and now they just are, feeling like, because our inventory is down with COVID, nobody wants to have their home open. As a consequence, there's not as much inventory, but there's still a whole lot more buyers.
Yeah, and they're serious sellers. When you put your house for sale, you better be ready to sell it.
You better
Yeah.
ready to go.
So let's talk about
Exactly.
down payment assistance. You know better than anybody. What are the three most used down payment assistance programs you use in California for your buyers?
CalHAFA, Open Doors, and Platinum Program.
Let's talk about CalHAFA.
Okay, that would be number one. So CalHAFA is an absolutely great program. You can do it with a conventional loan, with an FHA loan, with a VA loan, and the great thing about CalHAFA is it gives you a really competitive interest rate. You can do the CalHAFA without any of the assistance program attached to it, and just get a lower interest rate. And for less than it would actually cost you to buy that rate down if you were buying the rate down. But you can also combine it with a second. The second does accrue interest. Right now, the CalHAF is at 3.25%, and the second accrues interest at 2.5%. But you never make a payment on it. It's a silent second, and it just becomes due either in 30 years when you pay off the loan, or if you refinance the loan, or you sell the house and move out.
So let's give me an example here real quick, and I'm going to throw a few things at you. You buy a $400,000 place, and so how much do you have to put down on the $400,000?
So if you're doing a $400,000 and you're doing it through, you can either do it through an FHA or a conventional. So let's use the FHA. So if you're doing an FHA, that's $14,000 down on a $400,000 house. But that $14,000 That can come from the entire 14,000 can come from the second, the CalHAPA second, that just goes as a silent second, and you don't make any payments. So now you have zero money out, right?
Oh, that's
And then-
and Patty, what do you think of that? We were talking to Patty a minute ago, this
Yeah.
young kid across from us. What if Jillian can get you into a property with no money down?
Ooh.
You
I
know?
like that
Right?
idea. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and then you still have closing costs, though, right?
Yep.
So your closing costs, then they add what is called a zip third loan at the back end. The zip third has there's no interest, and they'll give you up to 3%. So now you've got another $12,000 to use towards your closing costs. Because buying a house isn't free, no matter what. It still isn't free. But then you can have the zip third again, no monthly payment on it until you actually sell that house. So you've got another $12,000 now to use towards paying your first year of homeowner's insurance, paying setting up your impounds for your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance, paying your notary and your appraisal and all of the other costs of buying the house. So
Yeah.
you can get in for almost no money at all.
And so I know you had a deal. You're just getting approved the other day. A driver, truck driver.
Yeah.
And she was using one of these programs to make it happen. And that's it. It's closer than you think. Buying a home is closer than you think. Let's talk about the last two programs because we only have about 4 more minutes with you,
Okay.
Jillian, and we'd like to get that information out because it's phenomenal.
Important.
Okay, one of the nice things about CalHAPA versus the other two, in Los Angeles County, our we go into high balance pretty quick, right? The loan limit is $510,400. Well, and then you get up to high balance. And so the other two programs, as nice as they are, they don't go into the high balance. You've got a loan limit of $510,400. So even though these are really nice loans, and for medical personnel, first responders, teachers, they actually have a gift program attached to the platinum program that it's no repayment, but your loan limit is only $510,400. But they do allow up to, for instance, on the platinum, they'll allow up to 5% of the first mortgage loan amount to be used towards your down payment and/or your closing costs. The open doors will actually go up to 7%, and both of them have a zero interest on that second. It stays there as a second, and it does not accrue any interest. And it goes away after a certain number of years. It does eventually go away. They do turn into grants after a certain number of years, like 5 years.
So grants,
on the program.
grants
Yeah,
and
it's not-
is free money.
Right.
So let's make that
Is
clear.
a grant is free money. That's right. So on the platinum, the money, if you're a first responder, it is never recorded. There's no second ever recorded. It's just a grant. If you are not a first responder or a teacher, then it goes away over a period of 5 years.
Yeah, love that.
Gotcha.
Love that.
Yeah, and in my financial background, I'll tell you that free money is good.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
God for that
definitely.
financial background.
Love
there.
that. Love that. Love that. Well, Jillian, our time is up, but we wanted to get you on because of your breadth of knowledge and get that information out to both Santa Claritans and all throughout Southern
Yeah.
California. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those who want to reach you, Jillian,
Throughout all of California.
exactly.
Yeah, throughout all of California.
How can we reach you?
I can be reached on my cell phone. It's probably the easiest way to reach me. That number is 760-220-4543. And my email address is my first name, JILYN, at AFFloans.com.
Well, thank you, Jillian. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Jillian. You're
Yeah.
awesome.
She's fabulous. Patty.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, absolutely. Patty, what do you think?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
If we can inspire Patty to buy a house
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
as a young American, as a young kid, yeah, I think we can inspire a lot of people to jump into the home buying process, give them optimism about the future, and
Yeah.
give them some direction on how to have the American dream because it's not dead.
Yeah, and I really think it's the optimism. We got to tell people it's possible.
Yeah,
It's out there. So we just have to let them know.
yeah, yeah. What do you think, Patty?
I you know what? I like it. hearing this talk that we all had today, you know, it's not only has it opened my mind on just buying and just dealing with, you know, mortgages and houses, but that's preparing me for when I do make that inevitable jump, because it's happening. It's just a matter. It's not a matter of if I'm doing it. It's when.
Right. That's when, yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Special Finance Hour. David Cantrell, Fred Arnold from American Family Funding. You've been listening to AM 1220, FM 98.1, KHTS, and watching online. Yep, Facebook Live and hometownstation.com. Till we speak again, make it a great day.
Yes, I do.